And welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Just give you a few more data points in the campaign. And I want to let's grab clip number 10 if we can, Rob. Get ready to start with that. You know, Paul Ryan has the only man with a plan when it comes to reforming entitlements. Paul Ryan's the only one that's got any kind of realistic plan to get federal spending under control, to get the budget in balance. It doesn't do it till 2050, which is not nearly aggressive enough for me. You know, my only criticism of the Ryan budget, it's not aggressive enough. But it contains a workable plan to reform Medicare by turning it into a premium support system, putting seniors, 50 million seniors, back in charge of their own health care decision instead of 15 unelected bureaucrats in some conference room in Washington, D.C., they would get this premium support. They can go out and buy the health insurance instrument of their choice. She's got a plan to reform Medicaid by block granting the money to states, saying, look, we trust the states. They've got talented, bright people. They know their people. They know better how to minister to the needy in their state than we do. We're just going to give them this chunk of money and let them go to work. And he's got a plan to reform Social Security. Nothing changes for everybody over 55. And I got a polling data out today indicating that Romney's support among seniors has dropped. He had a 20-point advantage as of 2 weeks ago. Now it's down to 4 points, and I think part of it is that seniors are confused. I mean, the Ryan plan says, look, if you're 55 or older, absolutely nothing changes for you. And yet Barack Obama's out there saying he's going to gut Social Security, he's going to destroy it, he's going to end it as we know it. And the reality is for people 55 and older under the Romney-Ryan plan, nothing changes at all. So they're not getting that message out there. But then it provides the option for personalized accounts for people under the age of 55. I mean, even at my age, I'm not drawing Social Security yet, but if I could convert right now to a personalized plan, to a privatized plan, I would do it in a New York minute. I wouldn't even have to think about it. Give me the money. It's based on my earnings. Let me have it. Let me invest it where I think it'll do the most good. But here's Paul Ryan talking to the AARP, and realize when you listen to this soundbite that the AARP has got a vested interest in Obamacare because they're standing to make $2.8 billion, that's billion with a B, off of Obamacare. So they don't want anybody messing with anything that has to do with Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security because they are making bank off Obamacare. Because of provisions in Obamacare driving everybody from Medicare Advantage plans, which involve choice, to Medigap plans. And AARP is fine with that because they'll make $1 billion off the people that are driven out of Medicare Advantage and into Medigap plans. And then none of the restrictions that apply to other health insurance companies apply to Medigap plans. So they can spend more money on overhead than regular insurers can. They're exempt from other regulations. Like they can include a ban on pre-existing conditions. Medigap plans can do that. Regular insurance can't. And there are no caps on executive compensation for Medigap plans. So they got all these advantages. That's another $1.8 billion. So realize as you listen to their reaction to Paul Ryan, they're going to make $2.8 billion off of Obamacare that they do not stand to make right now. But Paul Ryan, I got to hand it to him, goes right into the lion's den. And he talks about the importance of reforming Medicare and Medicaid. Here's how it went.
The first step to a stronger Medicare is to repeal Obamacare because it represents the worst of both worlds. I had a feeling there would be mixed reactions, so let me get into it. It weakens Medicare for today's seniors and puts it at risk for the next generation. First, it funnels $716 billion out of Medicare to pay for a new entitlement we didn't even ask for. Second, it puts 15 unelected bureaucrats in charge of Medicare's future. Let's talk about each one of these in turn. You may not have heard this side of the story. By now you've probably heard a lot of claims and counterclaims about the president's raid on Medicare. The president said that this would actually strengthen the program. He said it would improve the program's solvency. Ladies and gentlemen, that's just not true. The money wasn't walled off to stay in Medicare. Instead, the law turned Medicare into a piggy bank for Obamacare. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to take my word for it. Ask the chief actuary at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
So Paul Ryan takes it right to him, and the crowd kind of warmed up to him as he got further into his speech. They actually wound up applauding him at the end. Let's grab clip number 7. Here's David Axelrod, Barack Obama's chief hatchet man, going after Mitt Romney. Let's listen.
And at the end of the week, we saw him manipulating his own tax returns to try and plump up his portion of taxes to 14%.
You're talking about not taking the charitable deduction.
Right. Last 2 months ago on your own air, he said that anybody who didn't take the deductions they were owed wasn't qualified to be president. Well, I guess he's not qualified because that's exactly what he did last week to try and get his number up from 9 or 10% to 14%. It's fair to say that a lot of those 47% that he was slandering earlier in the week probably pay a higher percentage of their income in taxes overall than he does.
So that's pretty amazing. Mitt Romney's tax returns, he did not take all of the deductions he was eligible for his charitable giving. Gave $4 million in charitable giving last year. In fact, he gave more in 1 year. He gave 1,000 times more to charity in 1 year than Joe Biden did in an entire decade. I repeat, Mitt Romney gave more to charity, more donations to charitable organizations, 1,000 times more in 1 year than Joe Biden did over the course of an entire decade. You know, one of the contrasts I've often drawn between conservatives and liberals is that liberals believe that generosity is giving away other people's money. Conservatives believe that generosity is giving away your own money, and Mitt Romney exemplifies that. So here's a rich guy that's paying more than his fair share. Remember, Obama's out there talking about the rich don't pay their fair share. They're not paying enough in taxes. Here's a guy that pays more than he owes, and they're criticizing him, accusing him of manipulating the tax structure. So here he's doing the Warren Buffett thing. He's paying more than he owes in taxes, and the Democrats still find a way to criticize it. Now, I want to get to some information about Islam before we're done with this segment. I understand from what Jeff Reed told me over the break that Ahmadinejad has given a speech at the UN today, and his remarks were so offensive that Israel walked out. The United States delegation did not. Israel walked out on Ahmadinejad. The United States delegation did not. Now, here's Barack Obama. This is clip 5, Rob. And notice the word he uses to describe the input, the reaction he's getting from the nation of Israel about their own survival. Let's listen.
When it comes to our national security decisions, any pressure that I feel is simply to do what's right for the American people. And I am going to block out any noise that's out there. Now, I feel an obligation, not pressure, but obligation, to make sure that we're in close consultation with the Israelis on these issues because it affects them deeply. They're one of our closest allies in the region, and we've got an Iranian regime that has said horrible things that directly threaten Israel's existence.
So Barack Obama says, look, these signals I'm getting from Bibi Netanyahu, I got time to meet with Whoopi, but I don't have time to meet with Bibi. All that stuff come from Israel. That's just background noise. I just filter that out. I just ignore it. And it's exactly the word that Ahmadinejad used. He just referred to what Israel is generating as just noise that ought to just be ignored. So Barack Obama making pretty clear where his ultimate sympathies lie. Now, it's interesting, this next soundbite, clip 6, he listened to this carefully. And by the way, only 23% of the American people believe that those riots in the Middle East were connected to the video. Only 23%. Now, we know that the attack on the Benghazi consulate was a terrorist attack. It was a military-style attack. There were no protests that led up to the attack. Eyewitnesses confirmed that. They had rocket-propelled grenades. They had machine guns, very well coordinated. It wasn't connected to the video at all because that had been planned for some time. And it resulted, according to, let's see, this is according to hotair.com, a catastrophic intelligence loss. The fact that the consulate was overrun. And remember, because of Hillary Clinton, there wasn't a single Marine in the entire country of Libya. There was no Marine security for our Ambassador Stevens. And so they just got cut down in cold blood, and they overran the consulate, resulting in a catastrophic intelligence loss. That's a quote from an American official. And only 23% of the American people believe the administration line that the sieges and the attacks on the consulates were as a result of that video. They most clearly were not. And by the way, Channel 4, Krishnan is going to be my guest here in just a couple minutes. He is a news anchor for Channel 4 and does a special reporting for them. And the Guardian's reporting that they have cited, Channel 4 has cited concerns over security as reasons for canceling a planned screening at its headquarters this week of a documentary film questioning the origins of Islam. This actually goes back to September 11, so there's probably something that took place last week. Their intentions to screen this thing apparently generated more than 1,000 complaints to Channel 4 after it was broadcast 2 weeks ago. So they aired it a couple weeks ago, got 1,000 broadcasts. I guess they were going to screen it at their headquarters, and they were so concerned about security that they canceled the screening. Having taken security advice, we have reluctantly canceled a planned screening of the program Islam, the Untold Story, that questions the origins of Islam. Been canceled after advice was taken from, quote, relevant security authorities. So what's the leadership of Channel 4 admitting about Islam here? They're admitting that it is not a religion of peace. If you show a movie that raises questions about the origin of Islam, you're liable to get overrun. You're liable to have people throwing rocks or doing worse at your headquarters. Now, listen to clip 6. No, I guess we don't have time for that. Okay, I'll have to play that coming right out of the break. It's an interesting clip from Barack Obama where without admitting it, without realizing what he's doing, he admits to Steve Kroft in that interview from last night that Islam is, in fact, the problem in the Middle East. Now, President Obama has quietly canceled a meeting with the president of Egypt. That's Morsi, President Morsi, who's a Muslim Brotherhood guy. So Barack Obama was going to meet with him. He won't meet with the Prime Minister of Israel, but he will meet with the president of Egypt, who is part of the Muslim Brotherhood, which, as you know, is dedicated to eliminating and destroying Western civilization. Let's see. We've got the Pakistani foreign minister suggesting that America ought to rethink free speech. Now, this is a high-ranking Pakistani official that free speech maybe shouldn't be allowed. Time for America to rethink it. No, thank you. Back in 2.